Hey guys, welcome back to Installation 00, and today we take a deep and penetrating look at the Office of Naval Intelligence, something I'm sure they wouldn't like us to be doing. The Office of Naval Intelligence, or ONI, is the intelligence service of the UNSC Navy. Overtly, the agency is merely the information gathering and analysis division of the UNSC Naval Command. In reality, the operations of the Office of Naval Intelligence are far broader than simple intelligence gathering. ONI has become known for their preeminent role in the acquisition and leveraging of military intelligence. The agency is widely known for using subterfuge, deception and manipulation in defence of humanity in order to accomplish its goals. Additionally, the Office of Naval Intelligence employs numerous special projects such as the Spartan programs, Project Mjolnir, and the investigation of Forerunner sites, the most notable of which is Onyx, the Shield World. The Office of Naval Intelligence is responsible for UNSC Signals Intelligence, or SIG-INT, Human Intelligence, or HUMINT, counter-espionage, propaganda, and top-secret research and development programs. The agency mostly operates independently from other UNSC branches, and at times it contravenes the law and UNSC protocol to complete top-secret missions. ONI's current Commander-in-Chief, otherwise known as Sync ONI, is Admiral Seren Osman, an ex-Spartan II washout, who is the successor and protege to the legendary Margaret Parangoski. As it is responsible for intelligence matters across the UNSC, ONI employs members of other military branches and even civilians to complete the division's shadowy work. Many of its functions and subdivisions like the Beta 5 division and the Spartan II and Spartan III programs are enigmatic, and its personnel are regarded as mysteries by mainstream naval officers. ONI is technically subordinate to the UNSC Naval Command. In practice, however, ONI's activities extend far beyond intelligence gathering and often receive mandates and directives from HICOM itself. It is also not unheard of for ONI to operate without HICOM's knowledge or official authorization, as was the case with the Kilo 5's missions. Indeed, Synconi is often considered to hold significant power within the UNSC, and even the United Earth government as a whole. All other competing intelligence services have been snuffed out long ago to ensure ONI's supremacy. According to the ONI AI Black Box, or BB, there are no rival agencies. We castrated them all, left them cowering in our shadow. ONI has an unusually large amount of military equipment for an intelligence service and has a strong fleet presence. For example, ONI maintains joint control over the Navy's post-war flagship UNSC Infinity and holds considerable sway over her crew. ONI also maintains the UNSC's Prowler fleet, a major source of Covenant deployment intelligence under the auspice of the UNSC Prowler Corps. The Office of Naval Intelligence possesses a stealth cruiser, UNSC Point of No Return, which is used as a command vessel and secure conference location. ONI also manages field intelligence with units such as ONI Recon 111 liaising with mainstream UNSC military units. ONI exerts virtually complete control over the flow of information across the territories under the UEG control. Over the course of humanity's colonial era, a number of scattered alien artifacts built by a long-vanished civilization, later to be known as the Forerunners, were discovered. ONI secretly concealed all of these findings and maintained a monopoly on xenoarchaeological research into them. Any civilian scientist studying the artifacts would be drafted by ONI. In order to prevent the information from leaking to the public, ONI is capable of initiating system-wide data purges which erase all information on a given subject. A noted example of this is Onyx, originally surveyed as an ideal world for human settlement, but erased from all UEG databases by ONI due to the alien technology discovered there. The compartmentalization of ONI ensures that no single entity knows the full extent of what other aspects of the Office of Naval Intelligence are doing at any given time, and maintains a purposeful shadow over its operations even to its own agents. This is succinctly summed up in the following quote. Is ONI one happy family? Oh please. We've got 4 divisions officially, and only one of them knows that we've actually got more than that. The Section 2, made up of Psychops and PR, who each kid themselves they're not like the other at all, which tells the lies. Section 0, which thinks it spies on everyone else, tells lies to Section 2, and thinks it tells lies to Section 1 and 3. Section 1 does stuff we can almost talk about, the interface with the other branches, and Section 3 does the stuff we can't talk about, or else it would have to kill everyone in fascinating and groundbreaking new ways. Technically, you're not a numbered section at all. You're the Praetorian Guard of Synconi in a way, and we just call Synconi staff Core 4, although it's actually Core 5 of Bravo 6, and DCS reports directly to it. You'll note I didn't mention HICOM, and that's because all ONI sections lie to HICOM and tell it that it's the most powerful body on Earth, which generally works well at keeping the old buffers convinced that they make the decisions. Now, are you confused? I certainly hope so, because that's my mission. Section 0 is ONI's Internal Affairs Department, charged with rooting out and eliminating illegal programs. Section 0 is very discreet in its work. The true nature and activities of the division are highly classified and unknown outside of the ONI command hierarchy. However, it appears that the other sections of ONI know Section 0 exists, and while they are successful at deceiving Section 2, Section 1 and Section 3 are not as easily lied to, and all three other sections are not easily spied on. Section 1 is the proper intelligence gathering branch of ONI. As such, the section's services are most often utilised by UNSC forces. Its responsibilities include information gathering and code breaking through military espionage. Information released by Section 1 includes evacuation notices for colony worlds and Covenant force deployments. Section 1 was responsible for covering up all information on locations ONI wished to keep hidden from the public eye, such as Onyx. Section 2 is the propaganda branch of ONI. They are also responsible for psychological operations. Overtly, however, Section 2 only deals with external communication and public morale. It handles communication between colonies to reduce the spread of rumours and information that would damage morale. It was responsible for releasing details of the Spartan 2 program to the public to boost morale throughout the UEG territory. Once information about the Spartans was released to the public, Section 2 had to maintain the Spartans' near mythical status within the military by listing those killed in action as MIA. It was believed that news of Spartan deaths would cripple the UNSC's already flagging morale. Section 2 is also responsible for broadcasting pre-recorded human carrier signals from various locations into slipspace to confuse Covenant triangulation technology, preventing them from discovering Earth. During the early days of the Human Covenant War, Section 2 warned General Daniel Black of the Covenant Empire. As such, this led to bolstered defences of Corbulo Academy of Military Science. Section 2 has sent emissaries to warn outer colony leaders about the Covenant and deliver an offer, end hostilities and receive UNSC protection. While they initially laughed at the offer, footage of the Battle of Bliss helped sway them. In 2550, an impact crater was discovered near Visegrad on Reach. Section 2 stated that the pre-colonization meteor had impacted there and was of metallurgical and astrophysical significance. This was likely done to help explain the archaeological survey done by Professor Lazo Sulvad. Following the war, Section 2 had hired Benjamin Gerard to interview several people for a campaign surrounding John 117. They had offered him 120,000 credits and expected it done in about 5 weeks. However, it backfired significantly and ended with the arrest of Gerard. All of that information could be found in Halo Hunt the Truth. Section 3 is the top-secret projects division of ONI that oversees the various groups responsible for creating new innovations through the use of advanced alien technology. It was responsible for the Spartan 2 and Spartan 3 programs, and many other black operations, though a few of Section 3's programs are well known and are widely celebrated for their success. The UNSC Marine Corps and top brass of the UNSC treat most with contempt. This is especially true of the Spartans, who are regarded as freaks by some humans. Though its overall purpose is unknown, Section 3's Beta 3 division is known to analyse captured Covenant technology such as the Kigyar Point Defence Gauntlet. In addition to performing black operations, Section 3's Beta 5 division operates the Spartan 3 program, which is kept secret from the majority of Section 3. The compartmentalisation is designed to ensure secrecy and security. The Delta 6 division has oversight of an unknown number of Spartan 4s in stealth operations, including counterinsurgency missions. The Materials Group is a subgroup of Section 3 which is responsible for the development of advanced materiel. The group's most significant development is the Spartan's Mjolnir-powered assault armour, as well as the prototype exoskeletons which preceded it. The material group's fronting team revived the exoskeleton project, leading to the development of the Mark III-B Cyclops. Later the team merged with the Yggdrasil project to create the Mark I prototype and the Mark IX Mantis armour defence systems. Other developments include the XRP-12 Gremlin and its X-23 EMP cannon, the Zeus-class plasma cannon, and the planet-destroying Nova bomb. Watershed Divisions is one of such branches of ONI. During the war, the Watershed Division produced over 2,000 units of semi-powered infiltration armour issued to the Spartan IIIs. In the post-war period, it developed an upgrade for the first generation of Mjolnir armour and a number of Mjolnir Gen 2 armour variants issued to a very short list of people with high levels of clearance to use such rare equipment. Known projects include the XRP-12 Gremlin. During the early years of the insurrection in the late 25th century, the Materials Group developed the X-23 non-linear electromagnetic pulse cannon, which was designed to disable weapons of mass destruction before detonation. Though this technology had existed since the 20th century, the X-23 was the first truly precise application of the technology. Once the Materials Group deemed that the X-23 was a viable tool, it was mounted on a transport chassis. This resulted in the creation of the XRP-12 combat support vehicle, commonly known as the Gremlin. In 2511, Dr. Catherine Halsey began designing a powered combat suit to complement the Orion project, Generation 2, which would later become the Spartan 2 program. Materials Group, which had been experimenting with powered exoskeletons for at least 11 years, was tasked with developing this system at Castle Base on Reach. Materials Group began with the Mark I exoskeleton, which had entered development in 2500. This exoskeleton allowed the wearer to lift nearly 2 tons and run at 32 km per hour for an extended period of time. It featured advanced tactical computers that could provide real-time data to the wearer's standard neural interface and was armed with an integrated 30mm minigun. However, the Mark I proved too large and too bulky and cumbersome, and it needed to be physically tethered to a power generator, and its potentially fatal hypersensitivity to the user's movement resulted in its abandonment. After the failure of the Mark I, the Materials Group developed the Mark II exoskeleton. The Mark II was considerably slimmer than the Mark I, featured a refractive coating for dispersing heat, and possessed improved self-sealing mechanisms for protection against vacuum, though it had also had to be tethered to a power source. Thus, the Mark II was also abandoned. The Materials Group then attempted to improve the Mark III exoskeleton, which had been introduced the previous year. Though the Mark III did not have to be physically tethered to a power source, it had to receive broadcast power, similar to an orbital defense platform and its remote generators, and thus still had limited functional range. Furthermore, if the exoskeleton's power flow was disrupted, the operator would become trapped inside. While the Mark III represented a considerable improvement over the 2 previous models, it was also abandoned. Halsey and the Materials Group then accepted that all 3 exoskeletons were limited by their power sources and would prove ultimately impractical in combat. Smitten by the perceived failures of the Mark I, Mark II and Mark III exoskeletons, Halsey decided to completely overhaul the program, starting with Mjolnir. Materials Group was then reassigned to this project, which Halsey felt was the realization of the Powered Armor's program's overall goals. The team abandoned the Mark system used with developing the previous exoskeletons, as Halsey wished to distance herself from the project's past failures. Mjolnir, rather than being a bulky powered exoskeleton, would be a self-contained, nearly form-fitting suit. It would augment the wearer's physical abilities to superhuman levels, though it would require dangerous genetic modifications to function safely. The first iteration of Mjolnir was developed at the Materials Group Damascus Materials Testing Facility on Chi Seti 4 and was introduced to the recently graduated Spartans on November 27, 2525. Halsey intended for Mjolnir to remain a single continuous system that would incrementally be updated as upgrades became available. However, in 2535, Materials Group mandated that the subsequent iterations of Mjolnir be released in distinct stages as a means of fiscal oversight. Thus, against Halsey's wishes, the original version of Mjolnir was retroactively named the Mark IV, suggesting continuity with the long-abandoned Mark I, Mark II and Mark III exoskeletons. The Materials Group continued to develop the main Mjolnir series, resulting in several superficially distinct versions which, despite their drastically different appearances, were all classified as the Mark IV due to their internal architecture. On November 24, 2551, the Mark V generation was introduced. This version featured energy shielding technology, which was previously thought to be impossible to reverse engineer from Covenant technology. It was also introduced with the ability to accommodate a Starship-grade smart AI. In late 2552, the Mark VI was introduced. Though it offered few groundbreaking improvements over the Mark V, aside from an automated biofilm injection system, numerous components were refined, making the Mark VI amongst the most powerful pieces of technology ever created by humanity. Following the end of the Human Covenant War, the Mark VI was quickly replaced by Mjolnir Gen 2, and while Mjolnir Mark VII was produced, it was not as cost-effective or versatile as the Gen 2 platform. In addition to the primary numbered sections within the Office of Naval Intelligence, there are also a number of lesser-known or theoretical subdivisions within ONI. The Strategic Response Unit is a group of 3 high-level UNSC naval intelligence personnel. Located on the Fortress World Reach, they were responsible for decision-making during major crises such as the Covenant invasion of Harvest. Following the Harvest incident, the Strategic Response Unit requested that Vice Admiral Preston Cole return to active service. After the glassing of 2nd Base and Green Hills, they decided to inform the public of the Covenant threat and to give Cole his own fleet. The Signal Corps is tasked with broadcasting radio signals in order to confuse Covenant fleet and troop movements, diverting attention from the UEG colonies that are evacuating. The Prowler Corps is a division of the United Nations Space Command Office of Naval Intelligence. All permanent crew aboard ONI Prowlers serve in this sub-branch. The Prowler Corps apparently has an earlier mandatory retirement age than the rest of the Navy branches. The human colony world of Falak Numa served as the base for a section of the Prowler Corps alongside several Navy frigates. At some point, Akio Watanabe was captured by insurrectionists and was physically tortured. The Prowler Corps rescued him from the insurgents, and thus he became very loyal to them. While recovering from the injuries he obtained, Watanabe began working with the Prowler Corps. He soon discovered that modified Covenant weaponry was appearing in the hands of civilians and insurgents through the human colonies. To end the distribution of the weapons, the Prowler Corps worked with another section of ONI to find the origin of the weapons. Several months before the Cole Protocol was put into effect, the Prowler Corps put together several missions to sneak behind enemy lines and remove any existing human navigation data that could lead to Earth or other human colonies. The Prowler Corps would deploy units to locations where they thought the navigational data could still exist. In 2535, Spartan 2 Grey Team was sent to the rubble in the 23 Libra system to ensure no data was still existing. The Department of Colonial Security, or DCS, was an intelligence organisation of the Colonial Administration Authority dedicated to monitoring the inner and outer colonies. The DCS was incorporated into the Office of Naval Intelligence by Margaret Parangoski sometime after she achieved the rank of captain and after the CAA fell from grace, because no other agency wanted it. It had no pre-existing loyalties to anyone else in the UNSC, making it extremely useful for her to climb up the ONI hierarchy. DCS agents such as Mike Spencer were still operating in 2553, monitoring insurrection activity on Venezia. The Reverse Engineering and Prototyping Xenotechnology Department is tasked with developing advanced technologies from alien sources, both Covenant and Forerunner. They receive unlimited funding and resources and are unknown outside of the Office of Naval Intelligence. The department was formed by many smaller groups created during the Human Covenant War. Like the Materials Group, it helped disseminate new weapons and shield technologies to the UNSC forces as the war neared its end by way of firms such as Misria Armory. Their activities include weapons development, technological research and analysis, reapplication of alien technology, vehicle development and research into hard light technology. The REAP-X department's greatest breakthrough was the discovery of a working Forerunner slipspace drive used to complete the UNSC Infinity, the post-war flagship of the UNSC Navy. The department utilised many variants of standard military vehicles modified for special missions. ONI security is comprised mainly of recruited Army and Marine candidates. Their alignment is under the UNSC Navy and jurisdictionally under the Naval Special Warfare Group, which allows them some autonomy under ONI's management. ONI security personnel equipped with the air assault armour were deployed to prevent Covenant from gaining control of military-orientated skyhook defence complexes above Earth and Luna during the Battle of Earth in late 2552. ONI security are also tasked with escorting key ONI personnel in hostile zones. Rear Admiral Seren Osman was accompanied by 4 ONI security officers as she met with Vita Lopez on her ferret team following an attack by Dark Moon Enterprises operatives led by Ota Gallo in the UNSC Recreation Facility 6055-NA-A on October 14, 2553. The detachment on Ivanov Station was used primarily for science team protection on Gamma Halo, in the rare cases of emergency or attack. When the Erdidact attacked the station, ONI security engaged the Covenant forces attacking the station. The entire detachment was killed either by the Covenant or composed by the Erdidact. Naval Special Warfare Command, or NavSpec Warcom, is a major special forces division under the oversight of the UNSC Naval Command. The branch includes the Orbital Drop Shock Troopers, operatives of the now defunct Orion project, and most of the Spartan IIs. The Spartan IIIs also served under Naval Special Warfare Command until early 2553 when they were folded into the independent Spartan branch. NavSpec Warcom specialises in covert operations, assassinations, and conducting high-priority, high-risk operations against enemy forces. NavSpec Warcom also includes Naval Special Weapons, or NavSpec WEP, under which the ODSTs and the Spartan IIs serve. Some NavSpec WEP units fall under the operational supervision of Section 3 within the Office of Naval Intelligence. The group has a large amount of operational and command flexibility, although this office is technically subordinate to both the UNSC Naval Command and the United Ground Command. UNICOM primarily has oversight of NavSpec WEP Special Forces. And that concludes our in-depth look into the Office of Naval Intelligence and their structure, projects and influences. There is likely significantly more that we simply do not know about due to their compartmentalization efforts and just how dark the shadows that ONI exists in really are. Now that I've divulged this information to you, I'm going to go to ground for the next 36 to 72 hours to see if ONI sends anyone for me. Use this information wisely. I'll speak to you soon. I've got to go. ONI's watching.